In her dreams, she saw the future of a beautiful noble lady. From her lover, to what her future held for her. She saw everything about the woman's life. Imperial Palace of the Ranmer Empire. Giselle is our protagonist, who is a maid at Ranmer Palace. Someone called, Giselle. Giselle, she turned. Her fellow maid said, Madame Brita wants to see you. Giselle asked, curious, for what? She replied, I don't know. Go check. Giselle thinks while passing other maids, but for me, it was hard just to make it through a day. I was a mere maid at the Imperial Palace. That dream never ended up changing my life. A maid said to other while Giselle was passing nearby, Did you hear? His Highness kicked out another maid. Other maid asked, Isn't it the 8th time? First maid asked, Do you know who will be assigned next? Giselle recalled a moment from her childhood. Her mother said, Baby, make sure you never leave the palace. If you do, you won't be able to stay alive. She thinks, if I get kicked out of the palace, I'll die. More than 1,000 times, I reiterated it in my head and endured. But, the head maid said to her, starting tomorrow, you'll be serving His Highness the Crown Prince. Shocked, Giselle asked, Pardon me? She said, Why, you know what will happen if I go there? I can't leave the Imperial Palace. If I leave this place, I have nowhere to go. I know my mother will come looking for me here. Head maid said, We took you in when you had nowhere to go and raised you until now. I think I've done more than I could. Giselle said, Madame Brita. Head maid said to herself in mind, I have no choice this time, Giselle. All the senior maids chose you as the next one. With no friends and family, they see you as the easiest one to ignore. She squeezed Giselle's shoulder saying, Giselle, I trust you'll do well. After all, I raised you. And like that, she starts living in the Sun Palace from that moment. While on her way, the Sun Palace's housekeeper Marianne said to her, Make sure you always have correct posture, Giselle. You haven't forgotten what the Sun Palace is, have you? It's where His Majesty and His Highness reside. Giselle thinks, His Highness, the small son of Ranmer, Levon Klonitsk's debauched man with a personality disorder. Lazy and arrogant lord of blood. Beautiful trash that lives a life of intoxication. Nearly all of the maids who served him got kicked out of the Imperial Palace in less than 2 weeks. While following her, Giselle asked, Madame Marianne, why did His Highness dismiss the previous maids? Marianne replied, His Highness. He asked the maids a question. Confused, Giselle asked, A question? Marianne replied, He usually asks questions about a woman's taste such as, which flower is more beautiful, which aroma and jewelry are the more charming. All those who gave the wrong answer have been kicked out. So keep your wits about you, Giselle. From this moment on, your life will depend on every single thing you do. She enters in Prince's room. He was reading some documents. Giselle, standing next to him, thinks seeing him. So this is the man I'll be serving. The Crown Prince of the Empire, Levon Klonitsk. She noticed something and thinks, I smell an unfamiliar scent. It's potent. She bowed and said, Starting tomorrow, I will be assisting your highness with your bath. He said, Look at me. Where are you from? She clasped her hands nervously and replied, I was born and raised in this palace. I've been working in the Moonlight Palace until now. He asked, You were born in the palace? He thinks, her hair is a color unfound in Ranmer, yet she lies about it with a straight face. He raised his hand to call other maids who were holding some bouquets while thinking, We have a shameless one this time. He asked her, Now answer me. In your opinion, which bouquet is more beautiful? A maid next to Giselle said to him, Why, your highness, this child was assigned to the Sun Palace only today. Meanwhile, Giselle thinks, So this is the question. Maid continues, She hasn't even unpacked. Prince said, Good. She won't have to go through the trouble of unpacking. Giselle asked, May I ask what it's for, your highness? He replied, It's a gift for a woman. She said, being confident, Then please allow me to be honest with you. Neither of them are appropriate. He asked, Either of them. And why is that? She said to herself in mind, The reason is simple. In the woman's future I saw in my dreams, you, the Crown Prince, were there. And her taste was neither roses nor lilies. She said, One's just glamorous. The other doesn't smell too nice if left for too long. Instead, how about Frisia? Prince said, If you're simply telling me your personal taste, you're just a palace maid. Don't you think a noble lady's tastes would be slightly different? She replied, I worked my whole life in the Moonlight Palace. During that time, I've served numerous nobles. As a result, I'm well aware of the tastes of noble ladies similar in age to me. He grinned, saying, I see. So the roses and lilies I picked are a bad choice, huh? She said, Your Highness, that's not what I... He crumpled the documents he was holding, saying, How dare. Seeing that you're bursting with confidence, so much to criticize the Crown Prince's choice, I assume you're ready to take responsibility for that statement. He said, Fine. I'll send Frisia's. After some moments, Giselle was following Marianne while she asked Giselle, Why did you act so recklessly? I've been in the palace longer than you have and never heard about Frisias. Giselle in her mind said, even if I'd seen the future in my dreams, no one would trust me. I couldn't tell it as is, could I? She said. I lied. Marianne said, it's your first day and you lied to His Highness. Giselle said, I'll be more careful from now on. Marianne said, although maybe, His Highness has already decided to kick you out. At night a crown prince's aide Viscount Varn came to Prince and said, Your Highness, the messengers just returned. Prince asked, and what about the bouquet? Varn said, Lady Regina was extremely pleased and asked to thank you. Prince asked, that woman? She did? He thinks the daughter of a duke who didn't react to even the most expensive jewelry sent her regards simply for a bouquet of flowers that mere commoners like. Then he asked Viscount Varn, what is the name of that is made before? He replied, Giselle, Your Highness. Her mother, whose whereabouts are currently unknown, gave her that name. It is also a name of a wildflower. Prince thinks, what kind of mother names her daughter after a mere plant? He said, find out in detail about the maid and her mother. Varn replied, yes, Your Highness. Prince said, and called the housekeeper. Marianne said to Giselle, your job is to assist His Highness with his bath. She thinks, what's going on? Marianne said, a senior maid will later explain to you the detailed schedule. Giselle asked, wait, Madame Marianne? So I'm not going to be kicked out of the palace? Marianne said, His Highness told me to pass on this message. Unpack your things, Petals. Crown Prince Levon Klonetsk starts his day at early dawn with swordsmanship training. In the meantime, she tidy up his bedchamber and draw his bath in time for his return. When she is done emptying the incense burner and cigar ashtray, she do her most important task, which is to burn incense. Both when His Highness is away and right before he goes to bed, she burn one stick each. Lastly, she must never forget that if she want to stay here as long as she can, she must keep away from the Crown Prince as much as possible. According to the rumor circulating in the Sun Palace, all the maids who were kicked out had shown interest in the Crown Prince. Some time later, a servant informed Emperor, Your Highness, the Pontifex has arrived. Emperor said, escort him in. Pontifex came and greets while bowing, greetings, the son of the Ranmer Empire. Emperor said, welcome, Pontifex. Pontifex asked, how is Your Highness feeling? He replied, I heard he's enjoying cigars that alleviate his symptoms these days, and he also burns incense every day. He tries not to show it because of his character, but things don't look too good. Just like others, Levon was also blessed by the temple when he became an adult this year. Pontifex said, yes, that's correct. As a result, the divine power that His Highness manifested truly was miraculous. Emperor asked, but how is it that power is eating away at my son's life? Pontifex said, please recall the oracle that was delivered when His Highness was born. The sun has risen, but it has failed to bear complete light. In the near future, a baby girl of noble birth will be born. She will become his light. The only way to save the sun is to find and embrace that light. Another person who was blessed and manifested an incredible amount of divine power was the daughter of Duke Basilion, Regina Basilion. Pontifex said, how about we tell her family about the oracle and ask for help? Emperor replied, as you know, the Basilion family are like the head of the nobles. If word about this gets out, whatever prestige we have remaining will fall to the ground, and that will be enough reason for the nobles to seize power. Levon must know that because he's been stubbornly against sending gifts to the Duke's daughter. When he becomes an obstacle for the imperial family, he will take his own life. Pontifex said, Your Majesty, if I could only find my lost daughter, then we could quickly cure His Highness. Emperor said, I'm certain she's alive. Your daughter even had prophetic abilities. In Prince's room, Giselle stood next to Prince. He asked, that bouquet? If Frisias aren't the answer, how are you going to take responsibility? She replied, if you throw me in prison, I'll stay locked up. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it as long as I'm able to. He said, getting rid of a maid? I just need to kick you out. No? How boring. She thinks, in the future I saw, Frisias were definitely the right answer. Don't tell me he found out I just cooked up something. Suddenly she kneeled in front of him saying, Why, Your Highness, I stepped out of line. He asked, stepped out of line? She said, I dared to meddle in Your Highness's business and asserted myself. I expressed my opinion when I'm a mere maid. Please forgive me. He grabs her chin, lifting her face, and said, I'm impressed with you, Petals. The Frisias weren't a bad choice. But seeing how you're shaking like this, I see you got caught for having lied to me. I have an upcoming schedule, so hurry up and prepare for my bath. After some time, Pontifex was walking nearby and felt something unusual. A faint smell filled in air. He thinks, what's this scent? Prince welcomes him. Welcome, Your Holiness. I hope you've been well. Pontifex bowed and said, "Greetings, small son of Ranmer." Prince said, "I look forward to your help once again." He shares his power with Prince, saying, "Yes, just like before, I will share with you my divine power." Meanwhile he thinks, "It isn't his usual cigar smell." He asked, "Has something around you recently changed, your highness?" Prince replied, "I don't think there's been any big change." Pontifex said, "Is that so? Well, let me give you some divine power first." Prince said, "Thank you, your holiness." Meanwhile Giselle burns incense in Prince's room, thinking, "With this, just burning some incense should be okay for some time." She recalled her mother's words, "Giselle, make sure you never leave the palace. If you leave the palace, you'll die." Then she recalled Prince saying, "You got caught for having lied to me." She thinks, "I managed not to get kicked out of the palace for now, but who knows when I'll be tossed out." She asked herself, "What should I do, mother?" She recalled her mother saying, "Giselle, my beloved baby, did you have a nightmare again? Come here, let me sing you a lullaby. So don't be afraid, Giselle." While walking through hallway she thinks, the Frisias weren't a bad choice. That's right. It's going to be okay. I passed the first hurdle. While she was going on her way, Prince was standing behind a wall seeing her. He then went to his room. He thinks, what's changed recently? There have been numerous maids coming and going, but this one's quite unique. The way she speaks, she's a pretty sharp-witted and clever girl. And her aura, it doesn't seem like that of a maid. Something that's changed, I see. Can I say this is one thing that's changed? After some time someone called, "Petals. Is there a maid here named Petals?" Giselle surprised asked, as sorry. Other maid starts gossiping. "Petals? What kind of name is that?" "That one's in charge of His Highness's bedchamber. I heard His Highness gave her that nickname." Someone asked Giselle, "Are you Petals? His Highness wishes to see you." She thinks surprised, but it isn't work hours now. Why does he want to see me? While going she thinks, did I do something wrong? Did I tidy up the bedding incorrectly? Or maybe I didn't burn the incense the right way? While reaching there she asked, "Your Highness, you wanted to see me?" She felt a strong smell enough for her to feel fuzzy. She thinks, this strong smell. It's the incense I always burn in the Crown Prince's bedchamber. My head feels fuzzy. I feel like my entire body's becoming numb. Why is he always burning this kind of incense? He asked her standing next to a chair. "How long do you plan to make me stand here?" "Sit down." Surprised she thinks, did His Highness just personally pull out the chair for me? For a mere maid like me. He slides some paper on the table saying, "Last time, you gave me pretty good advice about the flower bouquet. Slide, this is paper I use to send invitations. Pick out one that's good." She picked them and starts looking them. Meanwhile she thinks, I wanted to stay away from him as much as possible outside of work hours. This time, I'll just pick the stationery and then leave right away. He asked, "That unique hair color? Who do you take after?" Hearing this she flinched. She replied, "I'm not sure." He asked, "Why is that?" She thinks, so it's because of my hair color. That's why a crown prince is interested in a mere maid like myself. She said, "I've never heard anything about my father. My mother who disappeared." She said, "Well, I don't remember her well." He glanced at her asking, "What were you doing before you got called here?" She asked, "Pardon me?" She replied, "I was having dinner." Prince chuckles mumbling, "Ha ha ha. So that's why you looked so excited as you hummed your way over." She asked, "Excuse me." He grabs the paper back saying, "I must have interrupted your meal. I'll have them send some food to your room after this." She thinks, I wanted to lay low while I was here. But how on earth did this happen? After some time Varn came and said to Prince while he was busy in his work, "You must take breaks while you work, Your Highness. You'll ruin your health." Prince replied, "As if there's anything left to ruin. I need to do as much as I can while I'm able to endure on the incense, don't you think?" Varn thinks. He said the pain was excruciating, as if he was being stabbed with hundreds of needles. The average person would have had difficulty walking, but His Highness is handling work even with his health condition. He asked, "Your Highness, how about you finally meet Lady Regina?" Prince crumpled the paper he was holding. Varn continues, "She was happy with the bouquet last time, and this time things may be different. Perhaps you would like to send her a letter." Prince said, "Enough?" He grinned saying, "Yes, I've been quite close with the Basilians since my childhood. But they're the ones who first tore the relationship apart. No, the past half year, I sent letters, gifts, and even summoned her here. But Regina never replied." He said, "Enough of that talk, what's this?" Varn replied, "A report on the maid Your Highness wanted information on. She entered the palace with her mother when she was a newborn. She lived in the Moonlight Palace as a maid, until she moved to the Sun Palace by recommendation of the housekeeper at the Moonlight Palace." Prince asked, "Is there nothing about her mother?" Varn replied, "Her mother, well, it seems she was one of the maids, who died that day 15 years ago. Prince thinks, that day 15 years ago. It's the day my mother, Empress of Ranmer, was murdered. The one who killed mother was an imperial knight who people thought would never betray her. He killed all the servants who got in his way, and then vanished with the help of the Basilion family. He clenched his fist thinking, so you also lost your mother on the same day to the same person. Suddenly a blurred memory came to his vision. Why are you crying? He thinks seeing a maid with short purple hairs, huh? What's this memory? Varn continues, perhaps she was too little, but she doesn't seem to remember her mother's death. Prince asked, so she's 19 years old now and not a single person has told her about her mother? Varn said, it seems no one tried to be close with her apart from the Moonlight Palace housekeeper. Prince thinks she has no friends, no family. Actually, she's just a mere maid with a unique hair color. He tossed the papers saying, this is enough information. No need to be more interested. Meanwhile some maids knocked Giselle's door. She came out and asked, a welcome party this late at night? The maids tell, now's the only time everyone can welcome the newcomer all together. It won't take long. So do you want to come? Other maid said, so you're the rumored Petals. Did you enjoy the food His Highness sent you? Giselle thinks, what do I do? If I don't sleep now, tomorrow will be ruined. But if I get on their wrong side, there's no way I'll survive here as a maid. They said, turn the lights off and follow us. She blew candle off and said, okay, I'll come. A few days later, while helping him in bath she said, Your Highness, excuse me. He thinks she looks awful. She looks like a withered petal. After some time she stands nearby while he was reading some documents. He said, if you're done you may leave. Meanwhile he thinks, I told myself I wouldn't be bothered by her. But she still sticks out. She bowed while leaving. He thinks, I don't have time for this. I need to do as much work as I can when I'm still okay. Suddenly he felt pain in heart. He starts trembling. He opened his drawer and takes out cigar. Suddenly he heard a voice, Kaya. He thinks, a woman's scream? From outside the window? He went to window to see. Giselle was having a fight with other maid who shouts, let go of me. He smiles seeing them. Some moments before, she recalls the maid saying, the newcomer welcome party began with washing the servants' blankets. She thinks it's okay. I can take a short nap during my break. She clenched her fist thinking, but they didn't give me a single moment to rest. They unloaded their chores on me including cleaning the rooms, the halls, and more. Pull yourself together. You can't be dozing off. And that's how things went for 4 days. A maid asked her standing outside, you know these need to be washed by tomorrow, right? How much longer do we have to sleep without our blankets? She thinks, my relationship with the maids wasn't good before either, but I preferred their indifference. She clenched thinking, who knows what will happen if I react in the wrong way now? But now, she said to them being confident, no. She thinks, I no longer intend to put up with it. She asked, why should I wash the other servants' blankets? You treating me like this is against the regulations. The other maid chuckles asking, against regulations? A maid next to her said, come to think of it, you used to be close with the Moonlight Palace's housekeeper. What? Are you going to tell her? Giselle said, I'm not crazy. I wouldn't tell her. If she knew. She grabs the other maid's hairs, she shouts. It would simply end with disciplinary action. The maid shouts, Kaya. Oh, let go of me. Hey, why aren't you guys stopping her? Giselle furious shouts, you all asked for this. If you want to make someone work, at least, let them sleep. Prince was seeing everything from window. Dash. Petals? Then the prince went outside to stop them. They all said, why your highness, the small son of Ranmer. Giselle bowed saying, your highness, the small son of Ranmer. He said, I see you all dared to engage in amusing behavior in front of my palace. The other maid kneeled saying, why your highness, it was a grave sin. Please forgive us. He lifted her face asking, grave sin? He asked, and are you ready to pay for your grave sins? Oh gosh. Giselle thinks, so in the end, am I getting kicked out like this? Then Prince steps closer to Giselle. She shuts her eyes. But he pats her saying, do you believe you can break anything if you go up against it with that small physique of yours? He holds her hairs gently saying, it looks like Petals is more reckless than I thought. After some time Prince called Marianne to ask what actually happened. He asked, so tell me what happened, Marianne? She replied, it seems the senior maids wanted to give the new maid a welcome party. He asked, a welcome party? I'd say that was a pretty aggressive welcome. He said, I've already instructed what to do with them. She asked, pardon? Our Highness did so personally? He replied, yes, so I think we can close this issue now. Marianne said, yes, your Highness. Meanwhile he thinks. Her eyes looked as if they were asking me why I didn't punish her. Punishing her wasn't hard, but I simply didn't feel like it. Is it because I found out about her lonely palace life? Or is it because I found out she was also there, that day 15 years ago when it poured? I imposed a suitable punishment on the maids who harassed her, so it's all good. Now I can finally stop being bothered by her. Meanwhile, Giselle waked up jolted. She thinks this is my bedroom. Right, I came back and fell asleep right away. By the way, she recalled Azar, the head of the Imperial Order, saying, "Drag these down to the basement prison." She thinks the head of the Imperial Order is personally getting involved in a minor argument among the maids. She flinched hearing Azar saying to other maid, "His Highness has ordered to not give you any food for a week." Then he said to Giselle, "Hey, you there? The one with the purple hair. His Highness has said you're innocent. No one can touch her," he said. "Allow me to escort you to your room." While in her room, she thinks he clearly said it was His Highness's order. So the Crown Prince helped me? He even had the Imperial Order get involved. For a mere maid like myself? She drooped thinking, but why? Marianne knocked her door saying, "I'm coming in." Giselle asked, "Madam Marianne?" Giselle asked, "What do you mean?" Marianne said, "The girls locked up in prison have all been demoted, so you will be the senior bedchamber maid from now on." Giselle, shocked, Giselle asked, "But aren't only maids who've had their coming-of-age ceremony allowed to become senior maids? Plus, it's been less than a week since I came to the Sun Palace." Anne, she clenched her dress, continuing, "His Highness has granted it." Marianne said, "Giselle, rumors are going around that His Highness favors you." Shocked, she thinks, "What?" Marianne continues, "Make sure you behave yourself properly from now on. You are a senior maid now, so you'll have to be even more prudent." While entering his room, she thinks, "Crown Prince Levon Klonitsk. He's the one I need to keep my distance from the most if I want to stay alive in the palace. Hide my hair, lower my head, and when I've done my job, I just hold my breath and quietly go away." Suddenly she heard something and turns, thinking, what was that just now? A painful moan. What do I do? Should I check? She went to close to Prince's bed, thinking, no, if I interfere and get in trouble for disturbing him? She moves curtains aside, thinking, but what if he's unwell by any chance? She gets flutter seeing him. He was in significant pain, she said. Ugh. Why, Your Highness? She tries to wake him up. Why, Your Highness? Wake up, Your Highness. She turns, thinking, I'll have to call someone. But he grabs her hand. She said, Why, Your Highness? He said, just stay here. She tries to say, but Your Highness. But he clasped her hand tightly. After some moments he released her hand. She noticed that he fell asleep. Then she leaves the room silently. Next day, second son of Duke Rovian, Louis Rovian, said, So, I hear it's a knight from the Starin region that's the talk of the town. I heard he plans to compete in the joust competition that will soon take place. Head of the Imperial Order Azar Taylor said, He's only 15 years old. Crown Princess Aid Varnhalate said, Well, Sir Azar will still win. Being the youngest won't do him any good in front of Sir Azar. Louis said, I'm telling you it's for real this time. Right, Aaron? Crown Prince's bodyguard Aaron Crusoe said, He is great, but, until last year, the only frontrunners were Azar and my father. Louis said, Exactly. It's about time a new champion was born. Don't you agree, Your Highness? Prince said, It isn't completely ridiculous. His hand trembles while Varn was about to hand him papers. He asked, Your Highness, I'll get your cigar out. Prince said, No, not yet, he said, but it's been quite some time since you were treated by the Pontifex. It'll be difficult for you without your cigars. Prince clenched his hand, thinking, How odd. The pain isn't as bad as usual. What happened? Suddenly he saw a glimpse of last night holding Giselle's hand. Huh! This memory, petals. Meanwhile, the back of the Imperial Palace. Viscount Belton called Giselle and asked her, Are you the maid called Giselle? She replied, Yes, I am. He said, You're eye candy for sure. I see why the Crown Prince favors you. Giselle thinks, Viscount Belton. He's one of the palace officials. In the future I saw, Viscount Belton was on Regina Basilian's side. Simply put, an aristocrat. He asked, Is it true that you're the Crown Prince's woman? She clenched her hands, asking, How could a maid like myself become His Highness's woman? He asked, Do you think I called you so I could joke around? She said, I'm aware of such rumors, but I don't know. The maids His Highness punished happened to be the ones who tried to harm me. I think that's why such rumors were going around. He said, I'd say that's what it means to favor someone. Do you think he was ever interested in maids? He chuckled, saying, It looks like the cold Crown Prince was a wolf after all, just like the rest. How amusing it is he's tried to hold his ground when he's ended up falling for a humble maid. He clasped her mouth. Then he said, Find out what the Crown Prince is hiding and tell me. If you help me, who knows? I just might make you into a noble woman. She trembles. He yanks, How dare you avoid my gaze? You're just a maid. You should be thanking me. While leaving he said, Go ahead. Put that small brain to work. Find out what the best way is for you to stay alive in this palace. She stayed silent sitting there. She thinks, the Regina Basilion I saw in my dreams was already an empress. However, the man next to her wasn't Levon Klonitz. What this dream signifies is clear. The revolt of the aristocrats. The death of the crown prince. Do I choose the future authority figure who will succeed in the revolt and gain power? Or be loyal to the debauched crown prince whose death is expected? The answer is already decided. Prince Levon walks through the garden. He holds a rose thinking, my pains suddenly subsided. And that maid. Is there some kind of connection between the two? Whether there is or not, I can find out for myself. In his room a new maid came instead of Giselle. He asked, you? Isn't the maid Giselle the one handling my bedchamber at dawn? The maid hesitates saying, WL. She recalls Giselle saying, I'd like you to change spots with me. She said to Giselle and me, I'm not yet in the position to serve His Highness from so close. Giselle said it's okay. The work's actually simpler. From now on, I'll clean the hallways. She said everything to Levon and said, that's what happened, Your Highness. Next day Levon called Giselle from behind, hey, Petals, but she dashed away. Sometime later same thing happened, Petals. He asked the maid, where's the maid, Giselle? She tells, until a little while ago, she was, huh? He calls, hey, Petals. Petals, stop, Varn said to him. Normally, people like that hide because they're guilty about something. It's clear she's thinking about how to harm Your Highness. It's best you be cautious. Levon thinks, that maid? I doubt it. She's intentionally avoiding me and running away? How dare you! But no matter how much she avoids me, she's still within the Sun Palace. Let's see how long her pointless behavior lasts. It should be amusing to watch. After some time, Emperor was having tea in his room lost in thoughts. He thinks, after my older brother, who was the previous emperor, passed away after falling from his horse, I was forced to ascend to the throne instead of my 3-year-old nephew. It was the title of the sun, the highest position in the empire which I'd never really coveted. Since that day, a horrific hell unfolded. I was slandered by people who suspected Dai of intentionally causing my brother's accident. My wife died in the hands of a knight who was loyal to the previous emperor. And my son, Levon, who was born with an ominous oracle, was getting sicker and sicker by the day. Since his mother's death, the boy had never once smiled. But now, Levon sitting next to him said, I have a favor to ask, Your Majesty. He said, I'd like you to request the Pontifex His Holiness to visit. Emperor asked curious, are you that ill? He replied, I'm fine. There's just something I must check. Maybe, I just might be able to relieve some of my pain. Emperor said, alright, I'll send a message requesting he visit the palace as soon as possible. Levon bowed and said, thank you, Your Majesty. Emperor said, I'm happy that you give me such good news. I actually noticed you looked well and was wondering if there was something good going on. Levon said, I see. He said, well, there have been some amusing incidents lately. Last night, he asked Giselle, let's hear what kind of good excuse you have to give me, Petals. Surely there must be a good reason why you've been desperately avoiding me as a mere maid. She replied, I thought the ridiculous rumor circulating among the servants might taint Your Highness's authority. He asked, and what rumor is this? She said, the rumor that why Your Highness favors me. He chuckled and said, me fond of you? He sat down on bed saying, in the eyes of arrogant Miss Petals, my authority must have appeared pathetic enough to slip due to a wild rumor like that. She flinched and said, and no, that's not what I meant. Suddenly he felt pain. He said, give me your hand. Confused she asked, pardon? He said, now. She moves her hand towards his. He holds her hand gently at first. Then he grabs her arm and clasps her hand. She said, why, Your Highness? He thinks, it's just like that night. It feels as if the small thorns stuck inside my body are melting away. A refreshing energy travels up my arm, clearing my head, and brightening up my sight. He released her hand saying, it's okay now. You may leave. Meanwhile he thinks, this maid called Giselle. She has some kind of unknown power. Next day while cleaning windows she thinks, his face yesterday. He gazed at me as if he was entranced by something. There's no other way I can describe it. She recalls Marianne's words. Rumors are going around that His Highness favors you. She thinks, no, that's impossible. A maid came while she was thinking, the crown prince I've seen so far would never do that. That maid left a note near her and leave. She gets surprised and thinks, a note? She picks it up and reads, come to the third pillar behind the garden. Viscount Belton. While on her way she thinks, a noble who will assume power in the future. A crown prince whose death is expected. At Imperial Palace Garden. She thinks, between them, I chose no one. Belton slaps her. She thinks, I simply want to remain alive in the palace for a very long time. In order to do that, I've been desperately avoiding the crown prince, and intentionally ignoring the Viscount's errands. Belton said, I thought you were a smart one, but it looks like you're as foolish as can be. She said, I didn't lie. His Highness has no secrets whatsoever. He showed an incense and asked, then, how are you going to explain this? She gets surprised seeing it and thinks, that's an incense that can't be taken out of the Crown Prince's room. Only the bedchamber maid knows about and no one else. He said, stop trying to be clever and tell me the truth. Do you think I'm wasting my time here just to joke with you? She said, I really don't know anything. I heard the incense is simply to put His Highness's body and mind at rest. He turned saying, what a fool. You're risking your future on a sand castle that's about to crumble. You still believe the Crown Prince will protect you, don't you? She thinks delicate wildflowers may barely survive in crevices, but in the end, they get stepped on by something powerful. That means, she said, please tell me, my lord, how can I stay alive? What must I do to be in your lordship's good books? She thinks, the only thing I can do is to pretend. Act like I don't know anything, just like a harmless, unattractive wildflower. She said, people say that the Crown Prince favors me, but he did not tell me a single thing about his secrets. He must consider me untrustworthy. She thinks, a maid who is favored but not trusted. He said, poor thing. Just find out the prince's weaknesses. If you can do that, I will protect you. I give you my word. Use that face of yours to your advantage. She thinks, to nobles, a maid is like a fruit fly. It can be crushed and trampled on a being that can't even rebel once, even if it's unfair and horrible. Something that will be immediately forgotten. She wipes her face thinking, yes, if I think about it, this all began when I became the Crown Prince's maid. No matter how hard I try, I don't know if I could escape from the Crown Prince. Meanwhile, someone was seeing them from distant. He was Izar, and he tells what he saw to Levon. Levon asked, are you sure? Izar replied, I saw with my own eyes. However, I wasn't able to hear the details. I couldn't easily approach her because it seemed that he had ordered the others to stay away. He asked Levon, Your Highness, would you like to question Giselle, the maid? Levon replied, Izar, what do you think is most needed by someone who's hanging on the edge of a cliff? He replied, why, help, of course. Levon pulls his glasses saying, that's right. While I'm at it, I'll have her properly indebted to me. At night, Giselle burns incense. Levon said, it's been a while since I've seen you at this hour, Petals. He said, welcome back to being the bedchamber maid. You didn't run away today. She replied, I simply do my job, Your Highness. He said, you definitely are responsible, Petals. Meanwhile, she thinks, he doesn't know anything about my situation, and yet he's smiling like it's funny. While leaving, she said, good night, Your Highness. It's late. He turns asking, you're telling me to shut up now, aren't you? She thinks, he's so cheeky and full of himself. He said, Petals, you'll be assisting me with my baths again starting tomorrow. She thinks, but why is it? While leaving, she said, yes, Your Highness. She thinks, I can't hate him? Next day, while Levon was having bath, she came holding water and bowl. She pours the water in bowl and dips a cloth in it. She starts wiping his arms. Then she wipes his hands. He thinks, I smell a floral scent every time she touches me. An irritating maid. Suddenly he grabbed her hand, thinking, and her unknown healing powers. He squeezed her wrist. She asked confused, Your Highness. He thinks, it's clear. I need this maid. Then he asked her, tell me honestly. What did you discuss with Viscount Belton? She gets shocked and asked, how did you? Levon asked, did he ask you to find out my weaknesses? She said, I didn't say anything, it's true. Your Highness, please believe me. Viscount Belton was mistaken that Your Highness favors me as a woman. He told me to use that to find out your weaknesses, but I really didn't say a word. He asked, mistaken? She said, as Your Highness is aware, it's simply a rumor. He asked, a rumor? He lifts her face. He asked, what makes you say it's simply a rumor? You say it's simply a rumor. But are you sure you don't wish to believe it's true? He released her saying, you can go now. Prepare a cup of tea before you do. She bowed and said, yes, Your Highness. I'll have it ready. She gets out of the room and thinks, I made a mistake. I should have never been so indecisive between the Crown Prince and the Viscount. Currently, the master of this palace, the master of this empire, isn't Duke Basilian's daughter but the Klonitsk family, so don't forget that if the Crown Prince dies, the maid that waits on him will also no longer be needed. That since I can't leave the palace, I need him. Then she recalled him saying, what makes you say it's simply a rumor? She thinks, maybe he wants me to mistakenly think that the rumor is true, and see me tearing my hair out all by myself. Then I'll give you that. Meanwhile, Levon came and asked, is the tea ready? She was still in thoughts. I'll be the harmless wildflower who knows nothing about. He grabs her hand from behind, oh dear. Your sleeves must have gotten wet before. She thinks, your precarious future or my own fate. He asked, how about we continue our chat? After that they went in room and she said, I think Viscount Belton is suspicious of the incense your highness uses. He showed me an incense cone and asked me what type of incense it was. He said, I guess I have lots of rats inside my palace. Of course I just need to find them. He asked, do you know what happened to everyone who disclosed information about what goes on inside my palace so far? She said, I don't know. Did you lock them up in prison? He said, I kicked them out of the palace. Pretty generous of me, don't you think? He said, the number of people who left like that were 13, 14, 15. They were all my bedchamber maids. She thinks, so the reason he's been kicking out his bedchamber maids wasn't just for amusement? If so, then why did such a rumor? He said, you said you didn't say a word to Viscount Belton? I'll take your word for it. She bowed and said, thank you, your highness. He showed an invitation to her saying, enough of that for now. I sent an invitation using the paper that you chose. She thinks, could this letter be? He said, well, I've received a reply. She thinks, from Regina Basilion? The future's been swapped in my dreams, just maybe. I'll see an ending that's different from what I saw in my dreams. He said, she wants me to give her the location and time. I'll trust your advice once again regarding the location. She thinks, if I make Regina Basilion and His Highness fall for each other, I might be able to avoid being kicked out of the palace in the future. She asked, how about the garden inside the Moonlight Palace? He questioned, because, she replied, there are flowers and trees from other nations that can only be enjoyed there and nowhere else. I trust Lady Regina will be pleased. He said, it's a perfect place to take a walk with her. But I only said it was an invitation. She flinched. He said, I never said it was from Regina Basilion. She hesitated but then said the seal on the letter was that of House Basilion. That's why I thought so. She bowed and said, please forgive me for being out of line, your highness. He grinned saying, raise your head. I was just sounding you out. I just checked to see if you recognize the seal of a noble family that's like the pillar of this empire. He slides the invitation towards her. Then he said, well, then I'll send a reply requesting that we have tea time in the Moonlight Palace garden. You may go now. She bowed and then left. Basilion Manor. Regina Basilion was having tea. Her father asked, I heard you're going to see the Crown Prince. Did you get a reply? She said, it's been only a few days since I wrote him. I'm sure he'll reply soon. Her mother said, well, even so. But it's the Crown Prince. I thought he would get in touch with you asking to meet right away. He's been courting you for half a year already. Regina said, I don't know, maybe he's not that desperate yet. Or maybe he's thinking hard about where to meet. Her mother said, don't be swayed by him. The Basilion family can't lose face. Regina wipes her face saying, what do you mean be swayed? Don't tell me you think I'm that frivolous. Her mother said, oh dear. That's not what I meant. I just wanted to comfort you because you seemed slightly disappointed. She said, comforting someone when it isn't necessary is deception, mother. Meanwhile she thinks, as soon as my mother died, this woman took over her spot as if she'd been waiting for that moment. Her mother smiled and said, I'm sorry that it sounded that way to you. Regina thought, just looking at her turns my stomach upside down. Then she stands saying, may I be excused first, father? While walking through hallway she thinks, Lev von Klonitsk is dying. No matter how hard the imperial family tried to hush things up, it wasn't difficult for my family to find out about the oracle. That's why I know very well just how much he needs me. Yet I ignored him repeatedly simply because I wanted to break the arrogance he showed at my coming-of-age ceremony. With a dignified gaze, he looked at me with indifference. I must see that man kneeling before me and kowtowing to me. But look at him still unable to grasp his position when he's that anxious. She mumbles while opening the door, Levin's slow like he's always been. He's destined to die anyway without me. So Lord knows why he lets his pride get in the way. She thinks if he doesn't get it, I'll make him understand whose hands his life is in. At Sun Palace, Giselle was having a nightmare. She trembles while sleeping. I'm burning up. I can't breathe. She saw her mom saying to her in dream, Giselle, you must never leave the palace. You must stay in the palace to survive. The minute you leave, the shadow of death will be cast upon you. You must stay alive, my baby. She wakes up jolted. She walks staggering and thinking, what's going on? I feel like my shoulders are burning. She starts huffing and sweating. She saw herself in mirror. A butterfly tattoo appears at her back. She gets shocked and thinks, what is that? A strange butterfly pattern. A maid came and said, Giselle, you'll be late for His Highness's bath. She said, of course, I'll be there. Meanwhile, Pontifex crossing nearby her tower where she lived felt something. He thinks, I just felt an unstable quake of divine power from over there. He asked the man next to him, Captain, is that where His Highness's room is? He replied, that's the building where the servants' quarters are. Is something wrong? He said, no, let's go. In Levin's room, Giselle stood holding bowl and cloth. A maid said, "His Highness has finished his morning swordsmanship training and is already here." Giselle asked, "Already? Why didn't he call me?" The maid said, "His Highness said he would wait." She thinks, did something happen? She creaks open the door. She peeks inside and gets shocked. Giselle said to other maid, "Hurry up and go get Viscount Varn." The maid confused asked, "Sorry?" Giselle said, "Send all the other maids out. And you go wait in your quarters." The maid rushed saying, "Okay." Giselle opens the door and went inside running. Blood was shattered on ground. She shouts, "Your Highness." Levin was heaving blood coming from his mouth. She holds him saying, "Your Highness, Viscount Varn is on his way. Should I also call the physician?" He shakes his head, clenching her hand. She said, "Your Highness." He plops on her. She tries to wake him up saying, "Your Highness, wake up." Someone came and she said, "I think Viscount Varn is he." She turns to see, but he was Pontifex, not Varn. He gets shocked and she asked, "Why, Your Holiness?" He noticed something, thinking, "This scent, what?" She tries to say, "Please help," but he interrupts her saying, "What on earth have you done?" She gets shocked and asked, "Pardon me?" He asked, "Are you going to ignore this potent scent? Can't you see the strong energy that's being emitted?" She said, "I have no idea what you're talking about, Your Holiness. I found him unconscious when I arrived, so there was nothing I could do." He noticed a wave of energy emitting from her. He stood shocked, thinking, "The maid's energy." She said, "His Highness told me not to call the physician." But he stood there thinking, it's gradually calming His Highness's body and mind. His Highness's berserk divine power can only be suppressed by someone who has more divine power than him. Only Lady Regina and I can do it. Meanwhile, Varn came and asked, "What in the world?" Pontifex said, "Viscount Halade, lock up this maid in the temple prison." She gets shocked. "Why, Your Holiness?" he said. "Have several imperial priests watch her carefully." Captain of Imperial Guards Hevel Crusoe, Crown Prince's bodyguard Aaron Crusoe. Both stands outside the door of Prince's room. Varn closed the door. Emperor and Pontifex was sitting next to Levin's bed. Pontifex said, "His Highness's divine power going berserk this time was something I didn't expect. It can only mean His Highness's condition has worsened." Emperor asked, "But I heard his condition has been improving lately. Isn't that so, Viscount Halade?" Varn replied, "That's correct. He's been burning incense less frequently, and hasn't been smoking any cigars." Pontifex asked him, "Viscount, do you know the maid who was imprisoned a little while ago?" He replied, "Yes, Your Holiness. His Highness has been keeping that maid close to him." But he stopped, but Emperor said, "Go on." Varn said, "Viscount Belton recently approached the maid." Hearing this, Emperor stood in shock and asked, "Viscount Belton? Are you saying she's a maid planted by Spring the Nobles?" He asked, "Why didn't you do anything if you knew? Interrogate her immediately." Pontifex said, "Maybe His Highness already was aware." Emperor asked, "What are you saying?" He replied, "That maid, she possesses an unknown power that relieves His Highness's berserk divine power. When I arrived, His Highness's divine power was already stable. The maid's power was being transmitted to His Highness. I suspect His Highness was already aware of this power, and urgently wished to see me in order to confirm it. He thinks he identified the flow of the power even in a state where he couldn't wield his divine power properly. If it wasn't for the oracle, he is worthy of being Ranmer's emperor more than anyone else. A crown prince who's been cursed by gods, and is expected to die unless if not for the power of a loving companion. What a vicious fate this is." Pontifex said the maid didn't even seem to understand that she possessed such powers. Of course, it could all be an act, but if it's not, then she's someone His Highness needs the most right now. Emperor said, "That maid is dangerous. Even if she has the power to heal, what if her objective is to kill Levin?" He said, "Our best choice isn't the maid, but Lady Regina. I'll have her locked up and see how the situation pans out." Pontifex looks disappointed and said, "As your Majesty wishes." But suddenly Levin said, "No, the maid. She's mine." Emperor asked, "Oh gosh, Levin, are you okay?" He replied, "I have an idea. I can completely win her over. So, do not think of kicking her out, Your Majesty." Emperor asked, "What if we find out she's a spy sent by the nobles? What will you do then?" Levin said, 1 week. "Within 1 week, I will prove that she has nothing to do with the nobles." He said, "If I succeed," and then he said something secret to Emperor. Emperor asked, "So that's what you'll do?" Then he said, "Okay, I give you my word, you have a week, Levin." After some time 2 guards came to Giselle. They said, "Come with us. There's somewhere you need to go." They bring her with them. She asked, "Wait, this is?" The guards said, "Don't stop. Continue walking." She asked, "Am I being locked up in the underground prison? Has His Highness not woken up yet?" The guard said, "This is His Majesty's orders." Giselle said, "When His Highness wakes up, He will prove that I'm innocent. I'm being wronged. The guard pushed her inside a cell saying, "Shut up and go inside." She said, "I'm telling you, I'm." They lock her up. She then sits there. She thinks, what's going to happen to me now? She heard someone coming. Levon came and she said, seeing him, "Your Highness." She said, "You're safe, Your Highness. Please prove my innocence." He said, "The Pontifex told me. The powers you possess almost killed me." She gets shocked and asked, "What do you mean? Powers? I haven't even had my coming-of-age ceremony. I have yet to manifest my divine powers. So what do you mean? I don't understand, at all." She flinched, asking, "Are you trying to put the blame on me? Are you trying to have people think that it's my fault that you passed out? Because things will turn unfavorably for the imperial family if they find out Your Highness collapsed." Tears welled up in her eyes. She then said, "Those with swords in their hands are all the same. You didn't work to obtain that power, yet you treat us as if are the spoils of war. Just because you have the power to wield authority doesn't mean you can just ruin anyone." He steps closer saying, "If I was going to abandon you, I wouldn't have come all the way here." She said, "Your Highness." He said, "I have no way to prove it right now, but you indeed possess powers, and it also had an impact on me. And so, I plan to go against His Majesty's orders, and get you out of here. As I said, it was the Pontifex's opinion that you almost killed me. I do not agree. You're my petals, the one I'm fond of." She said, "Then you?" Meanwhile she thinks, "You believe me. Why? I'm a mere maid. Why are you giving me a helping hand?" He said, "In return, promise me one thing." He leans towards her saying, "If you get out of here safely, you shall become mine." He said, "You shall become mine. Promise me you'll live for me. And I promise that I'll trust and protect you like before." He caressed her cheek. He said, "I'd say it's a pretty good deal." She thinks, the Crown Prince's possession a life of giving him everything. It's a proposal I have no reason to decline, after knowing that the future can be changed. She said, "I also have something I'd like Your Highness to promise me." He asked, "What a bold one you are. What is it you want?" She said, "Please become the Emperor." Meanwhile she thinks, "I'm well aware of how presumptuous it is of me to say this to the Crown Prince, who will no doubt become the Emperor. Nevertheless," she said, "promise me Your Highness will become the Emperor and allow me to stay within the palace walls for the rest of my life." She thinks, "I must confirm his will and get his promise." She said, "I do not covet Your Highness's side. All I ask is that, as a maid, as your servant, I be allowed to remain in the palace." He thinks, she must be trying to stay in the palace as long as possible to wait for her mother's return. He said, "Become the Emperor. I'm destined to anyway." They shakes their hands while he said, "Okay, I give you my word I will let you stay in the palace. My fate is already decided." Adding a small reason to it changes nothing. "Petals, from now on, there's something you must do for me here." After some time Belton came to Giselle. She said, "My lord." She shouts, "My lord, please get me out of here. I really didn't do anything wrong." He said, "Tsk, I warned you, didn't I? The Crown Prince has no power to protect you. If you had listened to me from the start, you would have never ended up here." She trembles and shakes while saying, "My lord, can't you take me under your wings now? Please, get me out of this place." She fell on her knees saying, "It's too dirty and cold here." He laughed and said, "Haha, don't worry. I came to help you, so tell me what it is you know. Tell me and I'll get you out of here immediately." When Levon visited her he had said, "In a few days Viscount Belton will be here to see you. I spread rumors that I have collapsed, and because you found out the reason, you were locked up inside here. Viscount Belton will take the bait right away, and like he did previously, he will ask about my vulnerabilities. When that happens, you will reply like this." She said, "Do you mean His Highness's secrets?" He leans saying, "Yes, go on. Tell me." She said, "It's the cigars His Highness smokes. I suggest you look into them." It wasn't long before good news arrived. Some maids caught a child maid stealing. "What? Don't lie to me. I'm not. It's for real." Meanwhile Marianne came and burst opens the door. "What's all this commotion about?" A maid said, "Madam, the servants found this child trying to steal some things." The accused maid fell on her knees saying, "No, I was ordered to get some things from this place and—" The other maid said, "How dare you lie? There are several maids who saw you." The child maid said, "I really didn't." Marianne said, "Enough. Everyone, return to your rooms. I will call each and every one of you in question." Suddenly a maid came and interrupts her saying, "Madam, His Highness wishes to see that maid." She asked surprised, "His Highness?" Belton walking through hallway said, Damn it, that stupid maid. She can't even do something so simple. Is it that hard to bring a cigar box from the warehouse?" Suddenly a door burst opens in front of him. Izar said, "His Highness is waiting. Please come in." Belton said. Thank you, Sir Azar. Levon said. Welcome, Viscount. It's been a while. Was it at the coming-of-age ceremony that we last met? He bowed and replied, Why, Your Highness, the small son of Ranmer. Levon said to Viscount Varn, bring her to me. The maid came in and Belton gets shocked seeing her. Levon asked him, Belton, do you know this woman? He thinks, she's the maid I ordered to bring the cigar box. He said, I am not sure. I've never seen the maid, Your Highness. Levon asked, You've never seen her, yet you know she's a maid. He flinched thinking, yikes. Levon said, It seems this maid got caught while daring to steal from me. But you know what? I found out you're connected to it. Why do you think that's so? Belton said, It's a misunderstanding, Your Highness. Levon said, Well, that maid told me that you used to enjoy it often. Belton said, She's setting me up. It looks like that maid said I ordered her to do it. But I've never smoked cigars, let alone put one in my mouth. If you don't believe me, you can ask the servants at my manor. He turns towards the maid saying, Why, you little. He points his finger towards her saying, shouts, How dare you try and frame me? Have you truly lost your mind? Levon said, We're done. You may leave. She bowed and left. Levon said, That maid, she was caught trying to steal liquor that you supplied to the palace. Shocked, Belton repeats, liquor. Levon grins saying, Come to think of it, you mentioned something else. Cigars, was it? He said, The fact that I smoke cigars is a secret only the servants in my palace know. He grabs his shoulder. He leans towards Belton and asked, Do you take me for a fool? He said, You should have known your place. Belton, trying to run, thinks, Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. I got played by a kid. Well, I dare you to do it. The next day, a guard announced, for attempted murder of the Crown Prince, dissemination of imperial confidential information, embezzlement of imperial property, and threatening of imperial servants, Viscount Belton is ordered to appear in the imperial court. While guards bring Belton, he thinks he dared to mess with the nobles who the emperor can't even touch. He obviously doesn't know his place. At imperial court, Belton thinks, most of Ranmer's judges are on our side. I knew I'd be summoned and took appropriate action. Between a mere maid's testimony and that of mine, a noble, it's clear who they will side with. The judge said, There's another witness. Bring in Lady Giselle Martina, daughter of Count Martina. He gets shocked hearing this. What? Giselle enters. He thinks seeing her. I don't believe this, she's the maid. He shouts seeing her. That woman's a maid who works in the Sun Palace. There's no way she's a noble. Judge said, You're being disrespectful to Lady Giselle Martina, Viscount. She glanced up where Levon was sitting while Belton shouts, This can't be true. This is all a dirty scheme, Judge said. Lower your voice, Viscount. He shouts, How can I? Anyway, that woman. Meanwhile, Giselle thinks everything went smoothly as he had planned. Right after Viscount Belton visited the underground prison, Levon sent Azar, who said, I came to escort you as per His Highness's order. She thinks, Sir Azar Taylor came for me. 2 days before the trial, Brita and Marianne both stood in front of Giselle, said, At your service, Lady Giselle. Confused, she asked, Madame Brita, Madame Marianne. The 2 housekeepers dragged me to the Starlight Palace where the nobles were staying. She asked, still confused about what's happening. What is all this? Can't you please fill me in a bit, Madame Brita? She replied, All we've been ordered to do is to treat you with much care, Lady Giselle. She asked, why are you calling me that? Marianne, helping her to wear shoes, said, We do not know the exact reason, but everything will be okay. After getting ready, she thinks walking through hallway. Yes, it will all be okay. She went to Levon. He said, It looks like petals has blossomed again. And might I say very beautifully. He said, Sit down. I'm sure you have lots of questions for me. Then he said, I heard Margrave Martina has a long-lost daughter. He happens to be in the capital after receiving news that someone similar to her was witnessed. And the woman who will be revealed as the long-lost daughter is you. She gets confused and asked pardon. He said while offering her berries, Lady Giselle Martina, daughter of Margrave Martina. She asked, The daughter of a Margrave. Is that even possible? He said, It wasn't easy. There are still things I need to take care of. She mumbles, Giselle Martina. Meanwhile, she thinks, the new name, which barely stuck to my mouth, was like a fancy decoration placed in a shabby house. She asked, Why did you give me a noble title? He replied, I promised you in the underground prison that day, I'd protect you. He said, There will be no one who can mistreat you in this palace now. Listen carefully. I will have Viscount Belton appear in court. If I take away his title, he will no longer be able to create mischief within my palace. He said, You will appear in court as a witness and testify what he did to you. She thinks the Viscount is like Duke Basilian's own 2 hands. There's no way he would go down that easily. She asked, Is that really all I need to do? He said, You look nervous. You think my plan will fail. Now that I think about it, you doubted my ascension to the throne. You still do not trust me, she asked. If so, why does your highness trust me? Is it because you need the unknown powers I possess? Is that really all? Meanwhile, she thinks, a relationship formed between one-sided mistrust and one-sided trust. He replied, yes, that is so. She thinks, nevertheless, he proved this way that he would keep his words, so I need to trust him. After all, I promised I would live for him. A day before the trial, Varn asked Levon, do you really plan to take out Belton? The nobles won't just sit back and watch, he replied, they will take this chance to get rid of him. Varn tries to say, this is, Levon said, if a dog knows too many vulnerabilities of its master, then it's time to get rid of it. At the end of his rope, Belton seems to be frantically requesting help from those around him. Mix these inappropriately in the letters he sends out. They're letters of threat, made to look like they were written by him. The recipients will be nobles intertwined in Belton's unlawful acts. Varn said, this is too dangerous. He asked, do you think His Majesty will allow this? Levon said, he will have to. I plan to make it a condition for me to take the successor classes I've been putting off until now. Varn gets shocked and asked, pardon? He thinks, His Highness has always behaved indifferently about the throne as if he didn't have an ounce of interest, even if the nobles attempted to put up someone else as the next emperor. Levon asked, is my becoming the emperor that hard to believe? Why is everyone reacting like this? Varn startled, thinking, everyone. Then he said, I've always believed in you, your highness. Levon said, just do what I told you to do. The day of the trial, Judge said, Viscount Belton, not only did you coax and threaten the imperial servants, you also attempted to siphon off His Highness's confidential information. Do you acknowledge? Judge said, your actions threatened the safety of His Highness and defied the imperial family. It can be deemed as treason. Belton said, treason? Who in the world said such nonsense? Judge said, we have a witness right here. Belton grits his teeth, thinking, damn it, I should have been suspicious when the maid vanished from the prison. I'd wondered where she had gone. So was it the crown prince who snuck her away? So he could backstab me like this? Belton shouts while glaring at Levon. Someone fabricated her identity in order to slander me. Judge said, do you truly believe this sacred court didn't carry out a fact check? Margrave Martina is here in this court today. Belton turns to see Margrave Martina shocked. What? Judge asked. As you stand before a parent who lost their daughter for an immeasurable amount of time, can you be accountable for your words, Viscount? He stood freeze there, thinking, it's clear now that things have come to this. Damn Basilion. He's abandoned me after all this time. After he dumped all that dirty work on me? He was the one who until recently ordered me to find out the crown prince's weaknesses. Suddenly he starts laughing. Ha ha, ha ha ha, do you really think I'll go down by myself? He slams his hands on table furiously, shouting, do you think you'll be able to sleep in peace at night, after turning your back on me like this? Do you know exactly how many lives I have in my hands? Judge said, be quiet, Viscount Belton. Belton shouts, fine. You can start by returning all the money you took from me. Judge said, tie him up right now. Belton shouts, if I'm accused of a crime, half the people inside this court are also criminals. Do you really believe you'll be safe after treating? He was shouting, but guards closed his mouth with cloth. Giselle stood there with a fast heartbeat, thinking, the future has changed. Viscount Belton was to receive the title of Count in the future, but he was defeated by the Crown Prince, His Highness. She glanced at him while he was smiling, and she thinks, the smile of the predator enjoying his victory was sweeter than ever. After some time, Varn came to Giselle and said something. She asked, pardon? She looks visibly surprised and asked, I'm His Highness's lady-in-waiting? Varn said, yes, from now on, your ladyship will be residing in the palace as His Highness's lady-in-waiting. The imperial family's lady-in-waiting is a reputable, precious position acknowledged by high society, she said, but my lord, you know groundless rumors were circulating about how His Highness was fond of me. I became a noble lady, and now if I become a lady-in-waiting, it won't just end in rumors. And shouldn't it be a lord-in-waiting and not a lady-in-waiting attending His Highness? Varn whispers, well, it isn't unprecedented. Previously, the prince ended up marrying his lady-in-waiting. Frankly, the opinions of the other nobles don't matter. Only one person's does. And that's Lady Regina Basilians. She thinks, whether in the future I saw in my dreams or reality, there was one thing that didn't change. Perhaps it wasn't just coincidence that I came to know about Regina Basilian's future. She asked, by any chance, does His Highness have Lady Regina in mind as wife? Varn confirms it. Of course the prince wants Lady Regina. And while Giselle pretends to just quietly exist, her brain is already spinning dramatic destiny theories. If God went through the trouble of giving her a front row seat to the future, maybe it's because she's supposed to shove those two lovebirds together. Varn politely interrupts her matchmaking epiphany to offer a room and a change of clothes. She agrees and soon finds herself standing inside what used to be the prince's study, a room that now happens to connect straight into his bedchamber. Very subtle. Nothing suspicious here at all. Two maids arrive, bowing like they've never spent the past year trash-talking her in back hallways. They insist on unpacking everything, fluttering around her like she's suddenly the VIP of the season. One even offers to adjust her skirt, and Giselle sits like a reluctant princess wondering when exactly she jumped fences into this new world. Saved from expulsion by His Highness, yes, but still clueless about this mysterious power he apparently needs from her. A knock interrupts her thoughts. She rushes to open what she assumes is the hallway door, and almost slams directly into the pontifex. He immediately scolds her posture like he's her spiritual grandmother, then spins around and commands her to follow. He leads her into a sealed chamber, the kind of place where divine power supposedly can't go wandering off like a mischievous toddler. He explains that she was probably brought here before being shoved into the underground prison, which is such a comforting reminder. She asks if she actually has divine power, but he says they're about to find out. From his pocket comes a plain, decoration-free ring. She slips it on, and he instructs her to imagine funneling her inner power through a tiny invisible string straight into the ring. Easy, right? She concentrates, and suddenly the world snaps into darkness, then light, then chaos. Screams. An explosion. A blood-covered man calling her name. She cries, begs, reaches for him, but he says goodbye and her heart shatters before she even understands why. She jolts awake to the pontifex shaking her back into reality. The sorrow clings to her. She can't remember the man's face, but the grief remains like an echo carved into her bones. Later, while she sits pale and shaken, the pontifex reveals the ring is one of the breath of antiquity, relics so ancient and rare that only 3 exist across the entire continent. If her power is valuable enough for that, then whatever is happening to His Highness is far more serious than a royal cold. Something big enough to threaten his claim to the throne. He pours her tea, tea, of all things, a humble commoner's drink. She recognizes it, surprised that he does too. He explains softly that his daughter liked it, the same daughter who became Empress of the Chetrian Empire, the mysterious woman who, in the future Giselle saw, disappears without a trace. The pontifex himself goes searching and vanishes as well. Looking at him now, quietly missing his daughter from across the continent, Giselle wonders if she should warn him. Would he even believe her? She steels herself and finally speaks. Your Holiness, there's something I'd like to ask. The pontifex tells her to continue, and Giselle goes straight for the question weighing on her chest. Did the ancient ring reveal her power? She's convinced he already knows. He's the pontifex, practically God's receptionist, but he simply says he's not sure yet, which is the spiritual equivalent of dodging eye contact and pretending to read a menu. If he won't even share that, there's no way he'd believe anything she says about the future. Wrong moment, wrong audience. She swallows it down. When he asks what she saw through the ring, the disastrous vision slams back into her mind, screams, cries for help, destruction. But she denies remembering anything. The pontifex narrows his eyes, suspicious, as if she's trying to play priestly chess with him. She reminds herself she's not just anyone, she's someone the crown prince needs. Even the pontifex has to tread carefully. She asks directly what she deserves to know. What is her power? Why does His Highness need it? He studies her intently, struck by how much she resembles someone from his past. Then he stands, promising he'll answer soon before leaving with a quiet laugh, completely undone by how much she looks like that child. His daughter's voice echoes in his mind, her wish for him to be happy. Giselle's thoughts drift back to her mother and the old conversation about the palace walls. How high walls protect, yet somehow leave her feeling unsafe without them. Back then, she promised to stop asking about the outside world. Now she has a power of her own, a place she won't be thrown out of, and the ability to reach for what she wants. Maybe, if she gathers enough pieces of her life, she might someday climb over that wall. A knock interrupts her reflection. Expecting a maid, she casually allows them in, only to see Levon himself stepping through. He leans against the door like this is a casual late-night chat between neighbors and points out the obvious. A locked or unlocked door between their rooms is actually dangerous. He teases her about wanting a lock installed. She refuses, explaining she now understands exactly why he placed her beside him, to reach him fast if he collapses. Locks wouldn't help with that. He's momentarily stunned, then amused, praising her intelligence and updating her that the Belton mess is resolved. He tells her she did well in court, surprising him with how calm she was. When she looks at his sunset-colored hair, that unexplained memory flashes again, stabbing at her heart. Tears prick her eyes. He steps closer, worried, but she blames dust and wipes them away. He hesitates, then lets it go and tells her to rest. She quickly asks what she's supposed to do starting tomorrow. Apparently the Pontifex didn't tell her. She has all the free time she wants. She can smell the roses, which, as a lifelong palace maid, she has absolutely no idea how to do. Someone else does, though. The next day she goes to Brita, who bows as if Giselle just became royalty overnight. Giselle desperately tries to stop her, but Brita insists. There's only one lady-in-waiting in the entire palace, and that's Giselle. Giselle hates the treatment but pushes on and asks what a lady-in-waiting actually does. Brita suggests the Imperial Library, explaining that records of past ladies-in-waiting should help. She offers to send the books, but Giselle blurts out she'll go herself, almost running before Brita can bow again. Later, in Levin's chamber, she tries to be helpful by bringing him clothes after his bath, but he declines. While he steps into the dressing room, she's already studying his accessories like a scholar preparing a thesis. He suddenly appears behind her, suggesting a piece in the lower right, which makes her jump and nearly take out the jewelry box. He catches her before she falls apart completely. Calming her down, he asks why she's even doing all this. She explains that according to the library records, a lady-in-waiting must assist with clothes and accessories, and she's his. But he tells her to stop trying so hard. Spend time reading, resting, walking. Pick a hobby. Don't waste her energy. But for Giselle, doing nothing feels unbearable. She needs something to anchor her, so she blurts out a request to prepare tea time with Lady Regina. She insists she's the best person for anything involving Regina, and surely he knows that. It's the one thing she can confidently do. Meanwhile, over at Basilion Manor, Regina is peacefully watering flowers when a knock comes. A maid enters, awkwardly holding back nerves. Regina asks what it is. The maid bows and announces that His Highness's reply has arrived. Regina remembers the oracle, cryptic prophecy, mysterious light, noble baby girl destined to shine on the crown prince. And naturally, her first thought is, right, that's me. Obviously, after the crown prince's coming-of-age ceremony, he basically carpet-bombed her doorstep with letters and gifts until she finally gave him a maybe. Now he takes over a week to reply? Unacceptable. She unfolds his letter with all the dignity of someone expecting tribute, only to find his suggestion to meet in the Moonlight Garden, an exclusive, hard-to-enter corner of the palace. Not terrible for someone who doesn't know his place, she decides. Then her maid shyly reveals the juicy part. The crown prince has a new lady-in-waiting. A woman. Regina raises an eyebrow so sharply it could slice silk. The maid explains it's that girl, the mysterious witness from Viscount Belton's trial, Giselle Martina, once a palace maid and suddenly returned as the Margrave's daughter. Regina remembers the political chaos of the trial and finds herself unexpectedly intrigued. A maid turned noble, a crown prince with unstable divine power, and now a friendly little invitation to tea? Today's shaping up to be entertaining. 3 days later, Giselle wheels a food trolley into the Moonlight Garden. Regina spots her and realizes she wasn't expecting extras. Giselle straightens her posture as if the Pontifex himself is watching and introduces herself properly. Regina welcomes her with polished grace, but the moment she hears lady-in-waiting, something sharp flickers in her tone. Giselle stiffens, remembering Varn's warning about who really matters in the palace hierarchy. She explains her appointment, and Regina chuckles, comparing the Crown Prince's rescue instincts to helping lost animals. Before Giselle can mentally shrivel, a cold voice slices the air. Levon arrives, and he is not impressed by the comparison. Regina immediately switches into perfect etiquette mode while Levon calls her out for the insult. Giselle squeezes herself between them before this tea party becomes a diplomatic skirmish, guiding Regina to her seat with practiced politeness. Giselle focuses on her true mission, successfully setting up this tea meeting so she can quietly steer fate. Regina tastes the marigold tea, notices every detail tailored to her tastes, the flowers, the cups, the envelope, all things she likes but rarely admits. Someone has done their homework. Levon admits he's trying to charm her while he still has the chance, complaining that her reacting, barely, to his efforts is painful. Regina's expression doesn't soften. She bluntly denies ever thinking him pathetic. So he takes the opening to sharpen the conversation, bringing up how she ignored his letters so thoroughly he thought he'd become the villain of her world. She fires back with Basilian pride, practically reminding him their family doesn't bend for anyone, not even a crown prince. Tension thickens until Regina asks Giselle to give them privacy. As soon as Giselle steps away, Levon tightens his jaw. The Basilians clearly know about the oracle and the power balance between nobles and the imperial family. They played him, and he knows it. Regina then asks why he was so desperate to see her. He notes the irony, her pretending like she doesn't know, when every part of this situation is orchestrated. He tries to reach back to childhood, reminding her they once were friends, and she dreamed of becoming empress. She cuts that down instantly. Childhood dreams are irrelevant now. He means nothing to her. In his mind, that seals it. There is no friendship left, just a political force in a pretty dress and a desperate crown prince cornered by fate. He accepts his role with a bitter inner laugh and offers her the position of crown princess, as if he's discussing business, not marriage. He stands and lays out his logic. Imperial and noble factions have clashed long enough. It's time for unity. He'll help her achieve her childhood dream of a peaceful empire. She'll solidify the throne. A mutually beneficial deal. Regina rises with regal fire, offended that he speaks of the crown princess position like it's a snack he's offering, not the highest title available to a noblewoman. She reminds him, again, who holds the power in this dynamic. She'll consider the proposal, yes, but then she adds a final ice-edged condition. He should give up any expectation of wifely duties from her. The air freezes. Politics, ambition, pride, theirs is not a love story. It's a power negotiation wrapped in etiquette and old wounds, and neither of them intends to lose. Regina pivoted away with ice-like elegance, leaving Levon standing in the garden with a proposal hanging in the air like storm clouds. Giselle stepped toward him, cautious, unsure if she was walking into a battlefield or a conversation. Levon gave her a glance, cool, composed, but clearly frayed, and acknowledged her efforts with a quiet praise. She asked if he enjoyed the tea, but before she could read his expression, he closed the distance, resting a firm hand on her shoulder. His voice carried the weight of authority she still wasn't used to. He told her plainly she was no longer allowed to bend to anyone else's orders, not even Regina's, not as she had just done. He reminded her who she served. The rebuke pierced her more than she expected. She had slipped into old habits, responding to Regina like a maid instead of the crown prince's lady-in-waiting. A wasted opportunity to prove herself. She bowed with more resolve than apology, and Levon left without another word. Giselle replayed Brita's warning in her mind, get used to it. Titles have rules, roles have expectations, and she was no longer a maid. At Basilian Manor, Regina returned to find her father waiting like a shadow behind a closed door. He scolded her sharply for meeting the crown prince, calling it pointless, questioning her ability to control him. Regina delivered the news calmly. Levon offered her the position of crown princess. If their goal was marriage into the imperial family, wouldn't fighting him be counterproductive? But the duke scoffed, unimpressed. Crown princess was merely a stepping stone. He hadn't raised her to be a decorative empress beside a weak ruler. He wanted her to rule with real power, a first empress in truth and influence. He revealed his preference for Arden Klonitsk, the former crown prince turned grand duke, gathering influence in the shadows. Regina realized with surprise that her family wasn't simply dabbling in politics. They were positioning themselves at its center. Her father's ambition radiated like a blade. Regina accepted it with practiced poise, sealing her place in the Basilian plan. The past was dead. Her duty was ahead of her. Meanwhile, at the imperial palace, the emperor struggled to believe the pontifex's report. Ancient power, awakened in a maid. The pontifex explained the old legend, a power once unified, God, nature, soul, then fractured into divine, magical, and spiritual forms after humanity's greed tore it apart. The emperor remained skeptical, but when the pontifex presented the breath of antiquity with its newly carved pattern, even he had to acknowledge something extraordinary had occurred. He did not trust Giselle, not after losing his empress to betrayal, but he couldn't ignore her usefulness to Levon. He ordered the pontifex to steer the situation in a direction that would benefit his heir. Unaware of all the political storms forming above her head, Giselle sat quietly with a book, reflecting on her new lessons. She'd asked Levon to let her study noble etiquette, and he had agreed. Every bow, every greeting, every piece of tableware had felt like trying to learn a new language overnight. Still, she worked tirelessly, enough that even Viscount Halate agreed to teach her more in the future. Outside, preparations for the upcoming joust filled the palace grounds with excitement. With no classes left for the day, she thought she might go watch. Elsewhere, Levon drowned in paperwork while Varn chomped on something suspiciously crunchy. When Levon questioned him, Varn revealed they were fried sweet potatoes, made by Giselle. She'd bribed him, according to Levon, for information about Regina. Varn denied everything in a panic, but Levon confiscated the sweets anyway, muttering about Giselle being incapable of relaxing. She was still busy, still working herself to exhaustion as if she'd never left her maid days behind. Then a voice floated in from outside, familiar, unexpected. Levon jumped to his feet, rushing to the balcony. Petals? And that man? Down below, a dignified figure approached Giselle. So it is you, the man said. The highly rumored lady-in-waiting. The man, still disguised, quickly backpedaled on his slip about. Rumors, insisting he didn't believe any of the nonsense about Giselle being the crown prince's favorite. Giselle, calm but curious, asked if he knew His Highness well. He answered with a graceful bow that spoke volumes. Yes, they were close. Too refined for a commoner, too polished to be ordinary. Giselle couldn't help but wonder what identity he was hiding. He explained he was there for the rose garden. His mother had tended it, and after she passed, Levon helped him maintain it out of respect. Giselle quietly absorbed that piece of Levon's past, settling by the blooms. She finally voiced a question that had lingered in her mind. Why white roses, flowers nobles rarely favored, were placed at the palace's center. The man asked if she disliked them as well, since nobles often mirrored each other's preferences. But Giselle rejected that idea with quiet conviction. She'd been judged too often for superficial things. She refused to hate a flower simply because others did. If they were white roses, she would like them freely. Soon after, the man approached Levon and greeted him with formal elegance. Levon took one look at his eyes and broke into a grin. Magic mask or not, those eyes were unmistakable. The man removed his disguise with a smirk, revealing himself as Arden Klonitsk, former crown prince, now Grand Duke, and Levon's cousin. The two embraced like brothers, finally reunited. Arden explained why he'd been impossible to find. After the previous emperor's death, nobles began flocking back to him, hoping to use him as a political tool. To escape, he left Ranmer entirely, learned magic in Shattering, and legally forfeited any claim to the throne. He preferred freedom, competence, and, according to him, stunning good looks over crowns and politics. Levon insisted he at least write or send a pigeon every now and then. As they shared a drink, Arden asked about a rumor he'd heard, that Levon was especially fond of a certain lady-in-waiting. Levon didn't deny it. He simply stated that rumors usually sprouted from truth. Arden nearly choked. He confessed he had met her by chance in the rose garden, and she wasn't like the rumors said. She seemed sincere, genuine, and she liked white roses. Levon murmured her nickname, Petals. Arden recoiled slightly at the idea of addressing a noblewoman with such a soft, almost cheap-sounding endearment. But Levon's expression darkened. For years, nothing in his life had been truly his. Not his position, not his title, not even his role as the empire's symbolic son. Calling her Petals was his small rebellion, his first claim to something personal. Arden, after a moment of reluctant understanding, fell silent. Levon explained that he had realized something crucial. The forces moving against the imperial family didn't just want the throne, they wanted to crush the dynasty entirely. And so, from now on, he would cling to what mattered. He would covet what was his. Hours later, Giselle's bell chimed. Levon was calling her. When she entered his room, the heavy smell of alcohol hit her instantly. Levon's eyes were hazy, his voice slurring accusations about fried sweet potatoes and bribery. She sputtered helplessly, wondering how he had found out. He collapsed onto the sofa, telling her she need never bribe anyone for answers, she could simply ask him. He joked bitterly, threatening to pluck her like a salad leaf, but the humor was masking something deeper. She asked him softly what was wrong, why he had drunk so much. He brushed her concern aside, but something in him cracked as he said it. Petals was his. He claimed her not with arrogance but with vulnerability. She reassured him, promising she would never disappoint him, promising she was his as long as he sheltered her. Her words made him laugh weakly, covering his eyes with a hand, torn between breaking down and giving in to her warmth. But then his body twitched. Giselle saw the shift immediately. His hand slipped, his face tightened. The glass tray crashed to the ground as he staggered, groaning. Then he collapsed, clutching his chest in agony. "Your Highness!" Giselle screamed, and the palace trembled with the echo. Giselle shook Levon desperately, her voice breaking as she called his name. He groaned, grabbing her arm as if anchoring himself. Panic jolted through her. She needed to use her powers, but how? The Pontifex's instructions flashed through her mind. Focus the energy flowing inside you. on the hand with the ring. She hesitated only a second before grabbing Levin's hand, telling herself she could do this. A thin, invisible string of energy gathered inside her, and she guided it to her fingertips. Power swirled around her, flowing into him like warm light. It worked, she felt it, saw Levon gasp, but fear punched through her. Was it enough? Could he survive on just this? What should she do? A hand seized her shoulder. She spun around. The Pontifex. He told her sharply to stop imagining the power passing through her and start imagining herself controlling it. Then he placed his hand over hers and poured his divine power into her own. With their energies merged, they pressed the rampant divine force inside Levon, suffocating its chaos. Divine light burst around him. And suddenly, Giselle wasn't in the room at all. She was flung into a dark expanse where a colossal black snake writhed, waiting for her. She recognized it instantly. It was the thing destroying Levon from the inside. Her power curled around the serpent. The Pontifex's warning echoed, "Don't let it take you." The snake screeched, thrashing, then erupted in a violent blast of darkness as she crushed it with her light. Giselle collapsed back into her body, gasping. The Pontifex caught her, voice urgent with worry. Her vision blurred, her limbs heavy. She tried to speak, but the darkness pulled her under. "Giselle!" His voice echoed as she fell into unconsciousness. Morning. She jolted upright in her bed, disoriented, immediately searching for Levon, but his room was empty. A maid appeared, announcing he'd merely been drunk, and went to work as usual in the morning. The political necessity of a facade. The maid also informed her that the Pontifex was waiting. Giselle's heart dropped. Later, across from him at a table, the Pontifex scolded her for overexerting herself. She admitted she was afraid. Those creatures she saw, the snake, the explosion of dark power, what were they? If it happened again, could she fight it alone? She begged him to teach her. Before that conversation, however, another had taken place. In the Emperor's chamber, Levon declared he would tell Giselle everything, even the oracle he'd hidden all his life. He explained she knew his weakness already. She saved him when his divine power went wild. The Emperor was furious but could not deny the truth. The Pontifex argued that to train her properly, she needed to know the reason behind her powers. The Emperor questioned how the Pontifex could trust her so blindly. And that question lingered still as the Pontifex faced Giselle now. He explained, divine power was God's blessing, but Levon had too much. So much it harmed him. And her ability soothed and eased that overwhelming power. Ancient power, likely. A forgotten force capable of suppressing divine overflow. He asked if knowing the imperial family's greatest weakness burdened her. Of course it did. But as she heard Levon's voice in her memory, his rebuke for living too naively, she steeled herself. She told the Pontifex she was scared, unsure whether this knowledge would help or destroy her, but she didn't regret learning it. She didn't want to be a decorative lady-in-waiting, just a maid in new clothes. She wanted to be someone truly needed by him. The Pontifex accepted her resolve. He slid a ring box toward her. Inside was the breath of antiquity, now marked with a pattern she hadn't seen before. He told her to read it. She read it aloud. "This is the second shard of memory." The Pontifex shot to his feet so fast his teacup shattered on the floor. He demanded to know, could she read ancient writing? Giselle froze, uncertain and frightened. Meanwhile, at Basilion Manor, Regina entered a room lit by ritual candles, the air heavy with power. She asked her father what was happening. Duke Basilion turned to her without hesitation. They were preparing a ceremony, he said. A ceremony designed to trigger the Crown Prince's divine power, to go rampant. She said in shock, "Father, the Crown Prince's divine power running wild. Are you the one behind it?" The Duke answered with unsettling calm. "This is merely one piece of my plan, Regina. No need to act so startled when you've only glimpsed a fragment. How could you? You're one of Ranmer's great nobles," she cried. "That is exactly why I can do it," the Duke replied firmly. "Everything I do is for the Ranmer Empire. But Ranmer rose by borrowing God's power. It's a holy nation," she insisted. "How could you use the power of an evil spirit? Haven't the past incidents taught you anything?" He met her eyes squarely. "Regina, you were involved in this plan too, weren't you?" She froze. "But I only wanted Levon to grow impatient, to kneel before me, to beg. That's all I wanted," she thought. The Duke placed a hand on her shoulder. "As you said, it wasn't enough. The Empress's death wasn't enough. I spread rumors about the imperial family's incompetence so the people would scorn them. But you know better than anyone how incapable they truly are. So I intend to uproot them and build a new imperial family. Remember, Regina, You are the rightful heir of that future dynasty. You're no longer a child. Regina lowered her head. Yes, father. Back at the imperial palace, the pontifex asked. You can read ancient script? And no, I can't, Giselle stammered. I've never seen these characters before, so how did I understand them instantly? Could it be? Then she confessed. Your Holiness, the first time I wore this ring, I saw a vision. It wasn't just an illusion. The figure I saw was unmistakably me. I watched people die, the world collapsing, and I couldn't stop it. It tormented me. The pontifex frowned. Giselle, according to this ring's inscription, I believe you may have witnessed the memories of someone from ancient times, and someone called my name, she added quietly. Do you think that was the ring's original owner? At the moment, we don't have enough information, he replied. I must gather all the breaths of antiquity. There are more? She asked. There are 3. This ring belongs to Ranmer. Another rests in Chetryon's mage tower. The final one is held by Hestina's imperial family. If this is the second shard of memory, then the others contain fragments too. Standing, he added, I had already planned to visit the Chettryon Empire soon. I'll stop by the mage tower while I'm there. Wait, Chettryon? Giselle's eyes widened. No, this is different from the dream. In that one, he left for Chettryon a year later. You'll remain here with His Highness, he told her. I can leave without worry. The future must have changed, but what if some parts haven't? What if, just like in the dream, His Holiness disappears? As he headed out, he murmured, I haven't seen my daughter in such a long time. No, don't go, Giselle blurted. He turned. What do you mean I can't? Well, I had a dream. In it you went to Chettryon, and your life was in danger. What? You saw the future? I know it sounds strange, but… No, Giselle, he interrupted. If your divine power is strong, such visions are possible. You possess abilities beyond standard divine power. This is not impossible. Then you believe me? Then please don't go. On the contrary, he said gravely, your warning gives me more reason to go. He gently patted her head. If danger awaits me in Chettryon, it likely means my daughter, the Empress, is at risk. Thanks to you, I can save her. Come, there's a place we must visit. Pardon? You've warned me of danger. Now I must prepare a countermeasure. As they walked, nobles bowed deeply. Your Holiness, Your Holiness. Everyone bows. The pontifex truly stands on equal footing with the emperor. Suddenly he stopped, turned, and announced, I want everyone to remember, this child is under my protection. Giselle's jaw dropped. What? He repeated it to Madame Marianne. I am this child's guardian. Marianne blinked. Yes, Your Holiness, he told Varn. She is dear to me. Treat her well. Yes, Your Holiness. He continued spreading the declaration until, at last, he stepped into his carriage and murmured, That should do. What was that for? Giselle asked. I told you I would prepare a safety measure, he said. If something happens to me, someone must ensure your safety. Giselle felt sweat bead at her temples. So, he spread a rumor so no one dares harm me? That's his safety measure? A few days later, the pontifex left for Chettryon in secret. Only a few were aware. With the fall festival filling the capital, he quietly slipped across the border. Levon and Giselle saw him off. Oh, right, the pontifex said. I have a task for you. A task? Come closer, he whispered into her ear. Giselle turned pale. Excuse me? He only smiled and patted her head. Well then, I'll be going. After he departed, Levon remarked, You two have grown quite close. Anyone would think you're his granddaughter. Will you miss him? Yes. I hope he returns safely. Levon laughed. What's so funny? I'm just worried. Worried? Do you not know who the pontifex is? No one on the continent surpasses him in power. And yet you're worried about him? He smirked as he walked away. Worry about yourself, Petals. He truly has no idea, Giselle thought. Near the Chettryon border. What is this? Who are you? Belton shouted as hooded figures surrounded him. If it's money you want, I can pay. Just take it. One figure knelt before him and revealed a portrait. Do you know this woman? Belton's eyes widened. Violet hair. Blue eyes. But something about her face was off. Why are you looking for her? He asked hesitantly. The hooded figure's voice was cold. Answer. Where is she now? When Ranmer's fall festival began, the capital grew more vibrant and lively than ever. The festive energy spilled over the palace walls and reached even Giselle. The main attraction this year, as always, was the jousting tournament. Everyone in the palace is busy preparing for it, Giselle thought. I'm the only one with nothing to do. It's strangely quiet. She shook her head. No, I can't relax. I have to carry out the task His Holiness entrusted to me. She stood and headed downstairs, only to run into Izar Talit. Good morning, my lady, he greeted. Izar, the commander of the Second Imperial Order, and once again a strong favorite in this year's tournament. Are you here to see His Highness? She asked. No, Izar replied with a smile. I came to see you. Me? She echoed, startled. He held out a sealed letter. After the competition, there will be the Imperial Banquet. Would you grant me the honor of being your partner, my lady? Pardon? She thought, blinking at the envelope. A partner request letter? For me? A partner? But surely many people must have asked you already, she said. Does the number matter? Izar replied. Well, no, but… Then is there someone else you intend to partner with? He asked. And no, there isn't, but… Izar bowed slightly. In that case, I still have hope. I'll wait for your answer, my lady. From behind a distant wall, Levon watched silently. Izar added, If you have time, please come watch the tournament. It would please me greatly. No way, Giselle thought. Izar excused himself and walked off. But I've only met Sir Izar a few times for work. We've barely spoken. Suddenly Levon stepped out from behind her. So that was Sir Izar's partner request, huh? She flinched. Your Highness? Somewhat disappointing, he said lightly. I was hoping to have a partner this year. Will you not ask Lady Regina? She asked cautiously. I'll have to, Petals. Pardon me, Your Highness? She exclaimed. But, Levon continued, I want your first dance. She blinked. Then, I'll practice. I'll make sure I don't embarrass you. He grinned. Yes, you will. As they walked, he asked, Are your lessons done for today? Yes. I was about to take care of the assignment His Holiness gave me. A job? He asked. Well, he said there's an ancient book stored in the depths of the Imperial Library. He told me to check whether I can really read ancient script. She remembered his other words. When I return from Shattering, I intend to adopt you as my foster daughter. But you can't get into the Imperial Library without His Majesty's permission, Levon said. Pardon? Then what am I supposed to do? What else but… They were interrupted by a servant. Excuse me, are you Lady Giselle Martina? Yes, that's me. His Majesty requests your presence. Giselle looked to Levon, who simply shrugged. She bowed deeply as she entered the Emperor's chamber. Your Majesty, the son of Ranmer. Ah, yes. So you're Giselle, the Emperor said. Sit. Once she had taken her seat, he continued. I meant to summon you earlier, but it kept being delayed. I hear you've been quite helpful to Levon. It may be little, but I do my best, she replied politely. I've noticed the Pontifex holds you in high regard, the Emperor said. And Levon seems fond of you as well. Why did the Pontifex insist I look after this child? He wondered. So tell me, the Emperor asked, what do you think of Levon? As someone who serves the Crown Prince, I'd like to hear your perspective. Giselle sat upright. His Highness is diligent, capable, and always flawless. And what leads you to think that? Well, from what I've seen while serving him, there's nothing particularly remarkable, she thought, and yet, he never misses his morning sword training, she said aloud. He handles his duties perfectly and without delay. Even Viscount Halate struggles to keep up. They say the son must be admired from below, and His Highness is truly a figure respected by all. As she spoke, memories resurfaced, rumors claiming he was lazy, arrogant, cruel to his servants. She now knew the truth, all baseless lies spread by those unaware of the burden he carried. He is diligent and exceptional, she finished softly, and I am proud to serve him, truly. Is that so? The Emperor murmured. She's not flattering me. She believes every word, he realized. In that case, the Emperor said, I'd like to show my gratitude. Tell me, what do you want? Then, may I have permission to access the Imperial Library? His Holiness asked me to examine an ancient text stored there. The Emperor nearly jolted. An ancient text? Are you saying you can read ancient writing? I believe I can, she answered. Even the Pontifex could not fully decipher that book. If this girl can read it, she may uncover secrets lost for ages. So that's what the Pontifex intends. The Emperor lifted his hand. Bring me the item. Once the servant left, he told Giselle, I will grant you this, the Emperor's tablet. It symbolizes absolute authority. With it, you may enter the library without restriction. I'll be expecting you tomorrow at the same hour. If you can read the ancient text, will you share its contents with me? Giselle stepped into the Imperial Library. Only 2 ancient books remained in Ranmer's possession, mysterious artifacts whose meanings had eluded scholars for millennia. Will I truly be able to read something no one has understood for thousands of years? She wondered. Her eyes fell on the first title. Secret Techniques to Spark Up the Night, she read aloud. What kind of title is that? Then she checked the second. Ledger of Exchanged Goods. So they practiced bartering, even back then. She flipped through the pages. Brawn feathers, Hezron eggs, wheat, corn, even gold. From remnants of animals believed to be mystical creatures, there really is quite a variety. At the end, a large folded sheet caught her attention. What's this? She unfolded it. Baham Vale. Varn. Suddenly the sheet blazed with light, and a detailed world map spread across the page. She traced the letters with her fingers. Rhonda, Zayden, Heston. These are the ancestral regions of today's empires. And this spot, this should be the middle of the ocean. Tronin, she whispered. A lost continent? A civilization erased from history? The ledger lists nations that aren't even mentioned in our books. Then could this be authentic? Later, in the audience chamber. Secret Techniques to Spark Up the Night, was it? The Emperor said. Unfortunately, that so-called manual isn't genuine. It was fabricated. What? Giselle gasped. I compared it with the sections the Pontifex managed to decipher. It doesn't match reality. How can that be? These books were preserved for thousands of years, yet one is fake? Now, you said the second book is a ledger? The Emperor asked. Yes. There was even an ancient map hidden inside it, showing civilizations that no longer exist. Civilizations that vanished. You mean Tronin? You know of Tronin, Your Majesty? Yes. It's known as an ancient nation that worshipped an evil spirit. An evil spirit? The Emperor nodded. Tronin sought dominion over the continent and made a pact with a malevolent being, or so the legends say. Because of that, people burned every record tied to it. They wanted the very memory of it erased. Only the imperial family and high-ranking clergy are aware of its name. I heard only fragments of the story from the previous emperor. Giselle gazed toward the window. Perhaps His Holiness knows more. Then we'll have to wait for his return, the Emperor said. Your Holiness, please be safe, she prayed silently. A few days passed, and the day of the jousting finals arrived. Riding in the carriage, Levon remarked. I heard His Majesty gave you the Emperor's tablet that day, Giselle replied. His Majesty said he was glad I could be useful to you. He told me to ask for whatever I wanted. So that's how you obtained the tablet? Not bad, Levon said. I'm not worthy of it, she murmured. That's not true. It's only fitting to grant something like that to the person who saved my life. And His Majesty doesn't trust easily. He wouldn't hand over that tablet without reason. Does that mean His Majesty acknowledges me? She asked timidly. Levon chuckled. Bold question. There are the castle gates. Once we leave the palace, the arena isn't far. Giselle stiffened. I see. So she's nervous again, Levon thought. Just when I thought she was starting to relax. Now that I think about it, he said. You seem to dislike leaving the palace. Is there a reason? She hesitated, then whispered. My mother always warned me that if I ever left the palace, the shadow of death would follow me. So I must stay inside, no matter what. The shadow of death. Was she implying someone was after you? I don't know. It's something I remember only faintly from childhood. So that's the root of her anxiety, Levon thought. And recently she's been stressed, worrying about the Pontifex, meeting His Majesty alone. Then he reached out his hand. Petals, come here. Pardon. Come on. She placed her hand in his and sat beside him. Even after she settled, he didn't let go. Your Highness, your hand's cold, he said quietly. Let's stay like this for a moment. His hand, warm and callous from sword training, enveloped hers. The carriage rolled past a corridor of trees, sunlight spilling in through the window. He smells like a cool forest, she thought. And then she remembered his promise. I'll trust you, and I'll protect you. Maybe that's why this feels comforting, or perhaps it's simply the warmth of his hand. The arena roared with excitement. When the Emperor raised his hand, the entire crowd fell silent. By God's grace, he proclaimed, Ranmer welcomes another blessed autumn. May every citizen enjoy abundance and peace. May today's competitors remain safe, and may Ranmer know eternal glory. While the Emperor spoke, Levon glanced at Giselle. She looks much calmer now, he thought. I've never seen such a large crowd, she whispered, awestruck. It'll be worth looking forward to, Varn said eagerly. Levon smirked. She's amazed by everything. She can't even keep her mouth shut. May Ranmer be eternally blessed, the Emperor finished. Trumpets blared. What's she getting so excited about? Levon wondered. The announcer boomed. Now, let us welcome the 2 finalists who will clash for the championship. Varn nudged her. Lady Giselle, look. Yes, yes. He pointed. This year's top contender once again, Sir Azar Talit. As expected, the finalist was the reigning champion with the highest number of victories in the tournament's history, Sir Azar Talit. His challenger was Gert Geil, a rising talent from the countryside who had shocked everyone with his rapid ascent. I heard he's the youngest contestant ever, Giselle said. Varn laughed. That title won't mean anything against Sir Azar. The 2 knights would clash 11 times, and whoever earned the highest score would claim the championship. The finals begin now, the announcer declared. The 2 horses thundered forward. Gert struck first with surprising speed. Geil, 1 point, the announcer shouted. Varn sputtered. What? No way, Giselle cried. Look, over there. The horses charged again. This time, Azar delivered a powerful hit that knocked Gert clean off his horse. Talit, 1 point, echoed across the arena. I knew Sir Talit would do it, Varn cheered. Giselle watched with wide eyes. So, what do you think, my lady? Varn asked eagerly. It's thrilling, she said. Levon, watching her excitement, smiled faintly. Regina approached him. It's such a delightful day, isn't it, Your Highness? Levon turned. Regina Basilion. I didn't expect you to seek me out first. I came to answer your letter, Your Highness, she said. Oh? Since when have you cared to answer my letters promptly? You were the one who proposed the position of Crown Princess, she replied sharply. It wouldn't hurt you to show a little affection. It's not as if I force you into it, is it? So you're saying, Levon asked, you're accepting my request to be my partner? Yes, she answered firmly. I accept. Levon blinked in disbelief. What? You've always refused before. Before he could say more, a scream tore through the arena. Gert Geil lay collapsed on the ground, blood spilling from a deep wound. Panic swept through the crowd. Oh my goodness! This can't be happening! Levon shot to his feet, stunned. Even the Emperor rushed down to the field. Azar spoke quickly, voice trembling. When our spears clashed, I felt something strange inside his weapon. Before I realized what was happening, it was too late to stop. But jousting spears cannot pierce armor, the Emperor said sharply. Where is the spear Sir Talit used? A servant presented it. Your Majesty, here. As the Emperor reached for it, he recoiled. The weapon pulsed with a dark, ominous aura. What in the world? He whispered. This is neither divine power nor magic, he thought. Some kind of dark force I've never seen. Captain Hevel urged. Your Majesty, the crowd is panicking. We must treat the contestant immediately. Voices erupted from the stands. The Crown Prince can heal him. Your Highness, what are you waiting for? You used divine power before, do it now. Regina's servant approached discreetly. My lady, you should return to his grace immediately. Is father unharmed? Regina whispered. He is. Please go back to him. But the crowd only grew louder. Your Highness, what are you doing? Crown Prince Klonitsk. The Emperor glanced at Levon, troubled. He's shaken. If he uses divine power now, it will go wild. But if he refuses, he'll earn the people's hatred. Captain Hevel murmured. Should we call Lady Regina? She can handle healing easily, and she'll be showered with praise, the Emperor thought grimly. Levon's fists clenched. Damn it. If my divine power goes berserk in front of everyone, I'll never become Emperor. I'm still weak, still incomplete. Suddenly, someone gripped his hand. He turned in shock. Petals. Giselle looked at him steadily, her gaze calm, reassuring. It felt like she was silently telling me she would help me, Levon thought. He exhaled and stepped forward. I will treat the injured knight. Everyone except my lady-in-waiting, who will assist in stabilizing the wound, must take 50 steps back. Obey His Highness, the Emperor commanded. Levon knelt beside Gert. Giselle hurried next to him. His Majesty asked me to help you as well. I trust you, Levon said. He summoned his divine power, and Giselle immediately used hers to suppress its rampancy, weaving her energy into his to keep it stable. Levon groaned as pain tore through him. The moment I channeled it, I thought I would lose my mind, he thought. But then, a scent reached me, one I've missed so badly. A scent that made my heart pound, and almost made me want to cry. If anything had gone wrong, her power would have been exposed. She could have been in danger. Yet she still came to help me, such a foolish woman, foolishly pure and true to her word. Giselle awoke abruptly in her room. When did I fall asleep? She rubbed her eyes. Everything that happened before feels hazy, like a dream. I left the palace, watched the competition, then the accident. She remembered the white light surrounding Levon, his golden hair shimmering within it. He truly looked like a disciple chosen by God. A knock sounded at her door. "May I come in for a moment?" a voice asked. Giselle stood, opened the door. "Lady Regina? How did you enter the Sun Palace? Not just anyone is allowed inside." Regina smiled sweetly. "Oh my, really? No one stopped me, so I didn't realize. Well, since I'm already here, perhaps you could keep me company for a bit." "Of course," Giselle said calmly, stepping aside. "Stay composed. I'm not a maid anymore. This is just a conversation between nobles." Regina walked in, her gaze drifting. "I'd heard you were staying in the palace, but I didn't expect you to have your own room. And right next to His Highness's." Giselle steadied herself. "Please make yourself comfortable. Should I bring tea, my lady?" "No need," Regina replied, taking a seat. "I won't be staying long. And you seem tired." Giselle nodded quietly. "I'm all right." Regina folded her hands. "There's something I wish to ask you, Lady Giselle." "What is it? Is His Highness doing well?" Regina asked gently. Giselle frowned. "Did something happen?" "No, nothing like that," Regina said. "But he healed the injured knight today. If he had used too much divine power, things might have gone wrong." Giselle stiffened. "How does Lady Regina know that?" "Only a few people in the palace are aware," Regina continued. "Since you serve at his side, I'm sure you know. Only the woman of the oracle can keep his divine power from running wild. That is his fate." "Woman of the oracle? I've never heard of that." "The woman of the oracle?" Giselle echoed. "Oh dear, you truly didn't know?" Regina covered her mouth lightly. "I shouldn't have said anything. Please pretend you heard nothing." Giselle curled her fist but managed. "All right. You're so considerate," Regina said with a small smile. "But why does this feel so unsettling?" Giselle thought. "Regina knows something about His Highness that I do not." Regina's expression shifted, proud and assured. "And it's said that I am the woman of the oracle. His Highness needs me at his side, for his destiny." Giselle's voice rose before she could help it. "Then you knew all of that, yet you just stood there and did nothing?" "I wanted to help," Regina insisted softly. "Truly. But the circumstances didn't allow it." She's lying, Giselle thought. "Why tell me all this?" Regina answered that too. "I've been offered the position of crown princess, but I refuse to be one in name only. I plan to build a proper household with him, create a good empire together. I'll stay by his side, for the sake of his life. So surely you understand what I'm saying." Later that night, Giselle woke again. "I fell asleep, again? I must still be exhausted." She noticed her hand resting on someone else's. Levon sat beside her bed, holding her hand gently. "I think I need to put a lock on you," he teased. "The moment you grabbed my hand, you refused to let go." Giselle startled. "Your Highness, how do you feel?" he asked. "Fine, just sleepy." "Did everything turn out all right?" "The knight regained consciousness," Levon said, "and Isaac Taylor was declared the winner. But we still don't know the true cause of what happened." "Do you think someone planned it? Was Sir Gert the target?" she asked quickly. "No," Levon said firmly. "The target was me. With the entire crowd watching, they wanted to show that I couldn't control my divine power. Did you help me, without realizing that?" "I thought it was only an accident," she murmured. "I only wanted to help him." Levon rose, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Don't be discouraged. Most people would have thought the same. The Imperial Ball is in 3 days. Make sure you rest until then." He turned to leave, but she grabbed his sleeve. "Your Highness, there's something I need to say. This path isn't the same as in my dreams. Regina is fulfilling the role of Empress now. And my goal was to help bridge them together, to support His Highness," she whispered. "About the first dance you mentioned," Levon cut her off, apologetic. "Ah, that. I'm sorry, but I'll have to dance first with Lady Regina. I won't be able to keep my promise. A woman of the oracle, someone he needs to survive. I cannot be the obstacle between them," she thought bitterly. "It makes sense, so I shouldn't feel disappointed." "I shouldn't. So why does it hurt?" She forced a smile. "It's all right, Your Highness. The first dance should be with your partner. I understand completely. I only wanted to ask if I may have the first dance with my partner as well." "Taylor?" Levon guessed. "Yes," she answered. "So you don't have to worry about me." "All right then," he said quietly, and left. Meanwhile, at Basilion Manor, Regina walked through the halls, recalling her visit to Giselle. When she had extended her hand earlier, "I felt it," she thought. A powerful, pure, almost fragrant energy, something I couldn't identify, flowing through her. Levon must have been able to control his divine power because of her. She entered the Duke's office, her expression darkening. So Levon may have found another option besides me. I can't afford to relax now. Her eyes sharpened. Levon Klonitsk is mine. He must kneel, beg, and cry for mercy, only before me. That is his destiny. The Duke slammed his palm onto the table. Regina, is it true you accepted the Crown Prince's partner request? Have you completely lost your senses? I told you, stay by Grand Duke Klonitsk's side no matter what. Regina paused before answering. Father, you know very well how public sentiment toward the Crown Prince has changed. The same people who once mocked his laziness and incompetence now praise his divine power and dignity. The negative image the Basilion family worked so hard to create has been overturned in an instant. If not for that incident in the arena, and your ridiculous stunt, everything would have gone as planned. What? Ridiculous stunt? The Duke roared. Did I say something untrue? Regina shot back. But father, she thought, you did teach me one thing. Giselle Martina is not someone to take lightly. Still, I am the one chosen by God. The woman in Levin's oracle is me. Aloud she said coldly. I'll decide for myself which man deserves my support. So, father, please don't stand in my way. That same morning, Levon woke murmuring. That dream again. He rubbed his forehead. I've been having the same dream over and over. The day mother died, and the fear of my own death. Hiding near the palace wall. A warm feeling. A small hand comforting me. But something is missing. Like there's a knot in my chest I can't untangle. Varn burst in. Another nightmare? Anyway, I delivered the dress you ordered. Levon straightened immediately. Good, thanks. No time to drown in useless emotions. In Giselle's room, Brita announced brightly. Lady Giselle Martina, it's the day of the imperial banquet. Half asleep, Giselle blinked. Madame Brita, just Brita is fine, she said kindly. His Highness instructed me to serve you personally today. The dress you'll wear is over there. His Highness sent it, along with matching accessories. His Highness, Giselle thought. Brita added with a smile. I believe His Highness prepared it long ago. He must be quite fond of you. Giselle picked up the attached note. If one's first dance must be with one's partner, then you can be my partner next time. A faint smile touched her lips. Now, my lady, we mustn't be late, Brita said. Just then a maid entered. Lady Giselle, Sir Azar Talet has sent you a dress and accessories as well. Once she was dressed, Brita admired her in awe. My lady, you're more stunning than anyone I've ever served. If you don't mind, may I hug you just once? Giselle embraced her warmly. If your mother could see you, Brita whispered, she would be so proud. Thank you, Giselle replied. Truly. Yet inside, her thoughts were conflicted. His Highness's kindness, the dress he gifted me, and the promise of another dance. But can I really accept all this? As she stepped out of her room, she steeled herself. His Highness and Lady Regina. I must not come between them. Outside, Azar waited. Good evening, Sir Azar, Giselle greeted. Good evening, Lady Giselle. His eyes softened. You look beautiful. Oh, thank you. The dress you sent is lovely. No, he said gently. It's you who looks lovely. You look very handsome as well. And congratulations on your victory. My thanks. As they walked, Giselle lightly held his arm, and immediately flinched. His body was solid, tense with strength. And my lady, Azar stammered. Flustered, she let go. I'm sorry. It's all right, he assured her. Please hold on to me. I wouldn't want you to fall. He's always been respectful, she thought, even back when I was a maid. No matter who he speaks to, he meets them sincerely. Somehow, having him beside me feels reassuring. Inside the grand banquet hall, music drifted through the warm lights. Nobles whispered behind their fans. They say His Highness saved Sir Gert in front of everyone. A divine miracle. Lady Regina accepted his partner request. Did you hear? I'm more curious about Sir Azar's partner. He had so many requests they joked he'd choose one randomly. Let's see which lady the goddess of luck favored this year, Azar asked softly. Is this your debut banquet, my lady? I suppose so. I never thought about it. Then it's my honor to be your partner. People will gossip no matter what. So today, show them who you truly are. She smiled lightly. Are you used to this kind of attention? Not at all, Azar said honestly. I don't enjoy it. That's very candid of you, Sir Azar. She chuckled. Meanwhile, Regina walked beside Levon. Nervous, Your Highness? She teased. I'm surprised. At your coming-of-age ceremony, you were the picture of calm, Levon replied. I'm impressed you remember. It's a joyous day, Regina said, when your highness and I are acknowledged by the entire empire. Let's skip the small talk, Levon said. We should head inside. People are waiting. They entered together. The announcer's voice boomed through the hall. Grand Duke Arden Klonitsk. The room buzzed instantly. Giselle's heart sank. There are futures one can rewrite, and others that refuse to change. In her dream, this was the moment. The Grand Duke, aligned with the nobles, stepped into the spotlight. Grand Duke Klonitsk? He's been in the capital all along? Is he here to declare his claim to the throne? Giselle wondered. Regina Basilion's chosen man, Ranmer's next emperor, Arden Klonitsk. The future I dreamed of is finally taking form.